Well, it's official. Democrats' disgraced candidate, Graham Platner, has withdrawn from the Maine Senate race, posting his dropout letter on X. His final line, listen to this, says, quote, F ICE, free Palestine, up the hearts. And now it's a game of thrones for the left as Democrats fight and scramble for his successor. And the far left is going through the motions. Don Lemon smells a conspiracy. Joy Reid is telling the left that if they can't get the perfect far left replacement, they should just stay home.
If they put another APAC sellout moderate in place of Graham Platner, and they do not put somebody in who is his same ideology, you have my permission to stay your ass home.
I believe that the accusations are awful and that they are disqualifying for a political candidate if true. The question is that was this an orchestrated thing? And both of them can be true.
Maine Democrats are sacked with a bunch of losers who are still licking their wounds from losing past statewide races. One of them is Troy Jackson. He came in third place for Maine governor this year, but he thinks his pickup truck progressive punchline will work this time.
I come from Mercer County. I mean, I represented Susan Collins down. I'm not the same as Susan, but I'm, what they consider a pickup truck progressive because I fight for issues that are important statewide.
But get ready for more Graham Platners. And some election experts say that the party is now the Tea Party on steroids.
We have seen something like this before. You have to go back 16 years. Remember, it was that Republican Tea Party wave of 2010. I would argue the Democratic version of it is a new Tea Party, but it's on steroids. Democrats dislike their party more than Republicans did during the Tea Party wave of 2010. Just 47% of Democrats now approve of their own party in Congress. As I said, it's a new Tea Party, but it's a Tea Party on steroids.
So Axios initially reported Platner was waiting until Monday, the deadline, to drop out. And I hope I have permission to be inappropriate on a Friday, Greg, because Brent Shearer said this about that Monday deadline. Democrats better hope he doesn't see a porta potty on his way to drop off his paperwork.
Oh, why would they say that?
I know.
Kelly?
It's
what does
wrong.
that mean? I don't get it. Can you
blue
explain?
water, he enjoyed going into the porta potties and having his way.
Could you be more specific on what happened?
Now I'm blushing. No.
Okay, I knew it. I knew it. Look, you know what is amazing about this whole story, and it's quintessentially American, is that we never heard about this guy 6 months ago. It's incredible how somebody so obscure can all of a sudden become the most important variable for one major political party. That it just tells you that these things happen in places that you ignore. Spaces that are unoccupied and you're too busy doing something else, this is where the revolutions happen. I don't know how you stop this, like where these guys just pop up out of nowhere. Maybe we're just, we're so consumed by so much information, we miss these things. But it blows my mind that this guy was an obscurity. And now he's everywhere. New York Times ran a piece on women mourning him.
Yeah.
They were grieving,
Yeah.
which is an insult to anybody who suffered anything.
Yes.
They never coddled a voting bloc like this. I mean, when they discussed Trump supporters, they painted them as rubes falling for a charlatan. Even with Bernie Sanders, they didn't show any sympathy for the voters they cheated when they tossed him aside in 2 elections. This is why, it kills me when they laugh at Republicans or conservatives who think 2020 was rigged against Trump. It's like, you guys rigged 2 elections against your own guy. Why wouldn't we think that? You did it to Sanders, who deserved it. This whole thing might be coming in part because of that. They kept saying this guy was relatable, a normal guy. But I think this was all camouflage, not for his sexual escapades, but for his policies. They said by focusing on the mustache and the truck driving, you didn't talk about free Medicaid, trans, defunding police, BLM, Antifa. There's nothing folksy about his beliefs. It's pure campus radicalism. He has all the stuff of that campus town coffee shop where the coffee mugs don't match, and all the flyers on the wall are for No Kings rallies and bail funds and rent strikes. He's a walking billboard for decolonization and free Palestine rallies. That is not a normal guy just because he wears a sweatshirt. And last, again, How they keep portraying this guy as a far worse evil than voting for Susan Collins. That was their apocalypse. An elderly, benign, liberal Republican who's about as MAGA as Sally Field, and yet that choice, not her, drove women in Maine to grieve over a guy with a Nazi tattoo who may or may not have raped a few women. They grieve over him.
Kat, I remember his rally after that New York Times piece came out, and I saw these older liberal women. You know, there's a type of course. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Standing behind him, and I thought they handpicked a few women in the crowd to stand behind him and support him. That's what they do at rallies. But no, this New York Times piece says women are mourning him.
If you are mourning the end of any campaign, if you are truly grieving and mourning the end of any campaign for any reason, of someone you've never met and don't even know in real life, politics is playing an outsized role in your life, especially when the alternative, as you pointed out, Greg, is essentially a centrist.
Yes.
Right? It's a choice between this guy and a centrist. It's not like something insane would happen if this happened. For one thing, also, no politician is crying over you ever. So it's really kind of pathetic always to be crying over someone who's not crying over you. Second of all, I don't understand how, even if they take the belief that, okay, the government, this is going to have this huge role in my life, how do they then reach the conclusion that they want to support someone like Platner, who wants the government to have an even larger role in your life than it has already, which, by the way, is what he stood for, as you pointed out, Greg. We never really got there.
Yeah.
We never really had a chance to talk too much about what this guy actually stands for, because we had the Nazi tattoos and all of the accusations of sexual misconduct up to and including rape. But if you are getting this upset and devastated, thinking, if this person gets elected, then the government's going to have all this control over my life. How do you not take that next step and think, well, maybe we should have smaller government? Maybe it shouldn't. I would want a world where it doesn't matter, where I don't feel this emotionally connected to every election, because there's so much focus on the people we put in positions of power, and to me, not enough focus on the amount of power that those positions have. And I don't understand how the same people who get all wound up about elections don't then think, maybe I don't want this to have as much power as it has over me, even more power than it has already, which is exactly what a vote for this guy would have been.
Joey, apparently advisors were telling him that he was the one. He was a hero of the movement. He was a historical figure, and he was leading a revolution.
Well, the whole premise of Graham Platner is based on a lie, right? This idea that he's a humble oyster farmer, and you find out that his dad funded basically his start in that. He went to this wealthy school, so this whole humble beginning.
He wears a hat.
Yeah, he's cosplaying as my buddies is what he's doing. He did serve in the Marine Corps. He did go to war, and then that becomes this like place to throw all of the trash until the trash heaps up and flows over, and he just smells like garbage. So I want to take you on a walk down memory lane. Right now, the message is like, oh, Maine voters are screwed over because this guy lied about who he was, and now the party's taking the opportunity to pick their candidate away. That's a lie. Nobody's getting screwed over here, no, besides maybe Graham Platner's exes, because if you go all the way back to August 19th, 2025, he says, hey, I'm running. September 1st, within 2 weeks, Bernie has a rally for him. They didn't do any Oppo research. They didn't do any. Bernie Sanders didn't make sure this guy wasn't a bad person or someone that's a liability. On October 16th, the Reddit posts come out. October 20th, the tattoo becomes a story. February 26th of the next year, the anti-Semitic reposts come out. And then April and May of this year, we learned about the Reddit posts. We learned about the Porta-Johns, the slandering of the Purple Heart vet. And listen, I've heard that vet that he was talking bad about has his own problems, whatever. Just the verbiage he was using, despicable. In between then, the Working Families Alliance endorsed him. The UAW endorsed him. After the Purple Heart vet and Porta-John stuff, Mills suspends her campaign because he's picking up traction. Now Indivisible endorses him. Who's that? That's Soros. All right. So then you go on to May 30th, just a few months ago. All the texts with the women, all of that comes out. What happens a few days after that? Schumer confirms his endorsement of him. Then you go to June 4th. A New York Times article drops. That's where Lindsay Fifield tells her story, and several others were mentioned, but they didn't go into any color about any of the liberal accusers. Okay, now you fast forward a month later, and now one lady says they were dating and he raped her, and it's the straw that broke the camel's back. If what she says is true, it's unforgivable and it should break the camel's back. But why weren't these other 16 things what broke the camel's back? And all of these endorsements along the way, they chose this guy knowing all of it. You can't tell me that this one allegation that isn't any more proven than all of the other things that came out, not any less either, is what broke the camel's back. The establishment might have been wanting to get rid of him, but people in Maine don't want to. I don't believe they want
The
to.
straw was that he was losing.
That was
That's
it.
what-
That was the real
The
straw.
polls. What did I say? Mills tightened the polls. And on, well, anyway.
But they got the internals.
Yeah.
And they finally said, uh-oh, we got to jettison. This guy, first of all, he's about as genuine as a Times Square wristwatch, right? And those two people that did the vetting, they're like the Milli Vanilli of candidate vetting, right? You saw those two. We played it the other night.
Yeah.
And you think, Greg, you make the point that he came out of nowhere. Think about who else came out of nowhere. Zoran Mamdani.
Exactly.
Right? And this is what happens when the machine decides. And you know what? It's very telling they called him the
AOC.
one. AOC, the one. No, who said that's like from that Matrix movie, right? This is what happens when you have 23-year-olds deciding who's going to be the next candidate in the U.S. Senate. But look, we've been speaking about all of this in the context of the politics of it. And I just want to go slightly outside of that because another article dropped today, and I got to give some quotes here. Lindsay Fifield says 10 years after they broke up, she ends up getting texts from him out of the blue. Now, I don't want to embarrass anybody on the panel here, but think about your own romantic history and go back 10 years and think about how you would feel about getting a text from an ex from 10 years ago. And she describes it as him taking a quote-unquote temperature read.
Right.
Where are you on me? And look about some of the things he says. I don't have to worry about anything unflattering because I'm a simple oyster farmer, and oyster farmers don't require a security clearance. He's asking her, what's in your diary? Now, these are, to me, very, very damning. He's worried about what she has. And I don't want to turn this into a legal seminar, even though I know you love them.
Yes.
But if she has against him, which we know he does right now, a credible allegation of rape, where's the case? I said it Wednesday. All we're talking about is politics. You have a woman saying he raped me. The statute of limitations in Maine is 20 years. You have him texting another ex who has allegations against him, asking her, what you put in your diary about me? Oh, yeah, luckily I don't need a security clearance. Are you kidding me? That's what we should be talking about now that he's out of the race. Hello, AG of Maine. Do your job, get out there. And it's also an indictment, just to close the loop, of the media. Because nobody here really cares about the rape victim. If they did, they'd be asking, is he going to get arrested? All they care about is, can we get the Senate?
Yep. And the way he signed off, F-ICE, Free Palestine, up the hearts, a reference to soccer, no contrition.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.